Hello and welcome to the Shelf and Spine. Today, I've pulled some classic books from my shelves to help you make a good decision when you're buying classics, which editions to buy, what to look for, and what maybe to avoid. Let's get started with these two. We've got the Everyman's Library edition, in this case of Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. It does have a dust jacket. These come generally in cloth underneath. They're rather plain. They usually have an introduction. They are often illustrated if the original was illustrated, but not always. And very importantly, they have a soon binding and they have archival quality paper. So these are very nice to hold in your hand. They're rather small. You can throw them in a backpack, and they're usually about like £15 or so. You can get them easily on Amazon. They have a bunch of these. Yeah. Somewhat comparable, which is why I put this here. These are the Chilton classics. Doesn't say that anywhere. It says it inside. There we go, Chilton. This is also bound, a soon binding, not a glued one. You can see it is gilded on all sides. It also does have quite the nice cover, which I think is not related to the book. They generally have these covers. One thing to say is that these are printed in, I think, China. Yes, in China. And they don't have any introduction or anything. They're just the text. They do have a bookmark. To me, the pages feel a bit plasticky. They don't feel like normal pages. To me, this is still good. It's a bit heavier, I think, than this one, but also a bit thicker. These are in the same price range as the Everyman's Library, and yeah. So up next, things that you can also buy new, but quite a bit bigger, are these. I think they're called Barnes & Noble's leather bound, which are also gilded. This is, I think, also bound, yes, and it opened up nicely. What I noticed with this one is that it does, I don't know if you can hear that, but it does kind of crackle, which I've never heard, which I think might be the gilding. That is just so thick that you end up with like gold on your fingers. This looks nice, but it doesn't feel super nice, especially with someone like me whose hands like sweat easily. It feels like I will rub this off any minute. Also, the paper is quite thin, so this looks luxury, but it doesn't feel luxury. And for these, I think they go for like £25 or something. It's okay. Now, to get into the more luxury range, there are a few options. I've already arranged some here. These are all three of these are Franklin Library editions. And you can usually, I think they don't exist anymore, but I'm not sure. But you can get these often for decent prices on used places like eBay. There are big differences though. This edition, for example, Tom Jones by Henry Fielding, this is complete like just normal paperboards. It looks nice. It does have illustrations, which is nice. It doesn't open up as easily. I'm unsure whether it's actually sewn or glued. I believe it might be glued. And so even if it does look nice, it's okay. But they also have these like quarter leather bands, Wuthering Heights in this case, by Emily Bronte, with also more cloth boards, again gilding all around, ribbon bookmark, nice end papers. And this one actually feels much nicer. It has really nice paper, it opens up really easily, it's obviously sewn, and so you can see this one is really nice. And I'd recommend this. And then the third one we have is fully leather bound, also quite nice. And this like actually feels like real leather. as compared to the Barnes & Noble's leatherbound. We have some silk end papers here, again gilding, and yeah. So this to me is also quite nice. I believe it is soon, but it doesn't open up as nicely. I believe because the leather is kind of thick. So it reads more like a glue binding, but yeah. Interestingly, you might think, oh yeah, these are like from 3 different eras or something. No, these are actually like a year within of each other. So all 3 of these are like 1979 and 1980. So if you're buying Franklin Library editions used, do look out for what you're getting. And maybe if you're shopping around, try to see if something is soon. You can usually, like with this one, you're able to find some threads. If they open up like this, like you've probably got a soon binding. So let me just move these away, because there's not this much space on this table, and move on to something. Let's see. Let's take these out. Folio Society editions. I'm guessing if you're looking at nice editions, you've heard of Folio Society. They are often doing also modern books, or at least classic books with like modern illustrations in them, but they also just have classic books. Some of these are used, and some of the less popular ones you can get used at great prices. For example, for this edition of Smollett's Travels Through France and Italy, I paid like, I think, £12 or something used, and it's in great condition. There's always a slipcase with these. They are always bound, so like soon binding, and they always have quite nice paper. So, and they usually set quite well as well. They sometimes have this like really tall format, because Folio Society used to play around a lot with formats. This nice Dickens quarter leather bound with cloth sides. Also very thick paper, and I believe we have original illustrations in this one as well. Let's see if we can find one. But yeah, also nicely bound. These are essentially always good quality. Something like this quarter bound Dickens will cost quite a bit more, but sometimes you can get a good deal on these. As I said, they always come with a slipcase. Some of these, as the Dickens, come with a bookmark and gilding here on top. Some of these just have some color on top and will not come with a bookmark. So let's put these on the side as well. And let's move up in the normal price range. We here have a Easton Press edition of, is even too tall for the camera. Also, just like the Franklin Library full leather bound, this has silk end papers. It's actually even bigger than the Folio Society, at least in width. But nicely leather bound, soon of course. I think the Easton Press are always soon. They have nice paper, they have a bookmark down here, and these are really nice. They will cost you quite a bit more, even if you're going used. I've seldom seen these sell for under £30 or so. Sometimes you can get some, but yeah, it's difficult to find. And they also, as the Folio Society editions, sometimes come with illustrations. Right. Now I've got a bit of a, let's say, a wild card. This is the Coppenrod, which is a German company, edition of Pride and Prejudice from Jane Austen. This apparently by Andrews McNeil Publishing, but by the Coppenrod Verlag. And these are just beautiful. They're very nicely done. And they not only have all these like small illustrations in here, and they're probably bound as you can see here, but let's see if we can find it. They also come with extras. Here we go, for example. And these, I always come with like 10 or so extras. For example, this invitation from Mr. Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. Also sometimes I think there's a letter, or there's, what do we have here? Yeah, like town map of London at the point where the character goes to London. And these are just really well done. So if you're looking for something that you can, like, this is a great gift for people also. The paper is nice, it's just so nicely done, it's probably bound. It is not gilded or anything, but there's a bookmark. There aren't that many books in these, but some of them are coming out more often and often. As you can see here in the background, I've got Emma in Sense and Sensibility in that same edition. And I think Mansfield Park or something is coming out later this year, I believe. But yeah, we are getting more of them. I can recommend them. They feel really nicely. They are about, I think, £25 or so. But yeah. All right, let's move on. My last suggestion, if you're looking for nice editions of books, are buy something old and used. So, all three of these are quite old. These two are Dickens's, Our Mutual Friend and Barnaby Rudge, and this is the first volume of Gil Blas by Visage, and we have the second volume over here. So let's just start with this. So my point is, if you're spending like €50, like £40 or something, on something like an Easton leather-bound or a Franklin Library edition, a nice one, you can also get a genuine like old leather-bound edition of something, of a classic work. Especially something like Dickens is still often around. These are just really nice. You can see there, this one has gilding on the sides of the binding. Also marbled pages, marbled end papers. And this is actually also illustrated, of course, Dickens's. This one is, let's see, I believe 18... Can we get this one out of the way? 1871. So this is an 1871 edition of Barnaby Rudge. It does have some foxing, but it's probably soon. It does have all the illustrations. It is in like good condition. And this is very much something that I'd feel comfortable sitting down and reading. It's not something I'd feel comfortable throwing in a backpack and carrying around. But this is the kind of book that really, to me, is the kind of book I want to read when sitting in my armchair on a Sunday afternoon. You will have to look for a good condition. Something like this is usually fine, a bit of foxing, a bit of browning, but don't get something that has, like, where the binding is loose or coming apart or something. Yeah, just be careful. The other two. So this one is essentially the same thing, just a different format. This one is half bound in leather, also very nice. And these come at about like 40 to, I think this one was £40, yeah. This one also has an interesting format. Paper is not as thick, but it's just very nice. Some full format illustrations. Like, this is just, it's a nice read. And there are quite a few classics, like, especially things that were published before like 1870 or something, that would have been around for a while, and where people in the 1880s, 1890s would have gotten these editions and had them bound nicely, because you would get them as like in cloth or something and then get them rebound in leather for your library. So these are really nice. This one is a bit of an odd duck, I'll say, because this has been rebound in just modern boards, as you can see, because this one's actually an 1836 edition of The Adventures of Gil Blas. or Gil Blah, I don't know how to pronounce that properly. But as you can see, this is also like a really clean version of this. It does have some foxing, but given that it's been rebound, like this is always something you can do. You can get an edition that doesn't have nice boards anymore and get it rebound. It will cost you something, but sometimes, as I did with this one, you can also just get a nice old edition already rebound. And in this case, like these two volumes together cost me about, I think, £30 or something, which is quite a good price in my opinion. Yeah, so these are my recommendations in terms of old books when you're looking for classics, or not in terms of old books, in terms of classics. Editions for classics, if you are looking to get some classics for your library. The Everyman's library are very easy to get. There are plenty of them, they're cheap enough. Just get them. Like if I'm not sure whether I actually want to read something, or whether I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm gonna like it, I'll just get the Everyman's library edition, and I can get a nice edition later on. If I know I'm gonna like a book, or if I'm quite certain, I might get something else. In this case, I already had the Everyman's library Great Expectations, and later on got the Folio Society Great Expectations because I really liked the book. Alright, I hope you've taken something away from this. If you have any questions about any of these editions, or if you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments, and I hope you have a great day.